Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of GwenTalk, the first one after Homecoming hit. And of course, I'm not alone here. I'm joined by my awesome co host, Shinmiri.
Thank you, Green Cricket. It's good to be back. Um, we've got a great special guest for you guys here today. McBeard, the one and only legendary caster from Gwent Masters events and content creator on Twitch and YouTube. Let's go talk to him and see how he's doing. McBeard, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well. I'm definitely less beardy, and I'm sure there's going to be many comments about that. And this isn't the first time I've appeared on a talk show like right after shaving my beard either. I think I did the tier 2 talk show once like that as well. But I'm doing very well. How are you guys doing?
The good thing is that we can talk about all the special things later in the video questions. So guys, if you have any viewers questions, prepare them for later. We collect them, and at the end of the show, we're going to select some of them, and then we're going to talk about it. But first, since obviously the big topic, how 2 weeks have passed after Homecoming's launch, so McBeard, what's your resume like? How did you feel? What's your thoughts about Homecoming for the last 2 weeks?
Well, I think along with a lot of other players, I'm sure we all had our path, our journey that we went through, where I don't like this, now I do like it, now I like this so much, now I'm starting to see the cracks in this, oh, now I can counter this thing. So I mean, it's been a long journey like that. I have played my 160 games to get my MMR unlocked, which is fine, and I've been playing ranked a little bit harder over the weekend, but generally I really like the game. I think that the platform is awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing changes in the future. And I just think that there's a lot of great stuff in there. Each faction has its own really cool thing as well.
I feel like you hit the nail on the head with the roller coaster of emotions that we've all gone through in Homecoming. There was the hand size limit, and the coin flip fix and provisions, and then figuring out the game a little bit, trying to get a new mindset to approach the game with after the huge change from old Gwent. And then you're starting to see maybe some balance issues here and there. But, it's for sure. I've had a good time with Homecoming. I think it's a great foundation for the game to start off fresh and build upon.
I think the foundation is exactly what's the interesting thing here, because with old Gwent, we already had some limitations. There were some, you couldn't do much, probably maybe some in terms of game mechanics, but with Homecoming, the foundation is so solid, you can go anywhere. We haven't even seen the mechanics from Thronebreaker yet in Homecoming. So there's so much we can the devs can expand on, add mechanics on, create synergies on. I'm really curious about what the future will bring.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that now that we see provision cost, and we see kind of effects and what we expect from each of those kind of provision tiers or slots, even in our own minds, we can imagine effects, and we can imagine what a card might do in the future and what it might cost. And in Vintage Gwent, it was can I make this 15 points? If I can, then people might play it. And if I can't, then people might not play it. So there's a lot more there. I can come up with a really great idea for a 4 provision card, and there might be a lot of work that can be done there that we can't even think about. So I think that for the imagination, the territory that can be explored, I just think there's so much there.
That's so true.
The funny thing is we already see some mechanics in game which are not yet really touched upon. For example, we have some spies in there, but the spy archetype currently is not really fleshed out. There's some hints there, and I think even you said it in one of your YouTube videos. I think when you did the faction intros, you talked about how to build an archetype, and you said currently when you build a deck for a faction, you probably include 2 archetypes in one deck, because there is how to say it. For example, there's boosts. Boosts are working for everyone, but for example, spies are very limited. So maybe you want to combine some boosts with spies. You want to combine some Bloodthirst with I don't know, some resurrection or discard and so on.
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe that the bronze core, if you just did, early on, I probably did what many people did. I just, I went into the deck builder, I just typed in reveal. So I could see all the cards that said the word reveal on it. So I could see kind of not just what they did and what they can do, but where they might be used in different situations, because it seems like reveals a primary archetype in Nilfgaard, because they have so many cards that do revealing. and then spy, and like this tactic thing that they have, and soldiers in some way. They have like kind of secondary mechanics that you can blend in, or you can like put two secondaries together, or do like some stuff that supports some of the revealing, like the high strength bodied units. They function very well in reveal because you're more likely to win the reveal clash, right? So like there's ways that you, and then now you're playing Nilfgaardian Knights maybe, so now maybe you want to play some boosty stuff, and then you can kind of make those maps kind of form in your head here and there. And I feel like every faction kind of has that in there, and then there's factions that can just like lean right into some stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like for you know, you mentioned a couple of different archetypes and factions there. What have you found to be some of your favorite new cards and decks to explore so far?
Well, I think Northern Realms I had the most fun playing. However, I played Northern Realms earlier than anything else. So I played it in like the first like 3-4 days before stuff was really kind of like, you know, you can start to expect certain things these days. Like today on my stream this morning, I knew exactly what I was playing against for most of the games, almost every single one of them. I was pretty close. Woodland can be like one of two things. And I'm not even like, I'm still, you know, I just unlocked my MMR. I'm like still in rank 11. I'm still climbing. I didn't start at pro rank like some of you did. So it's just everybody's got it. It seems like everybody's figured it out already. Like it's really tight. But I'm rambling. Northern Realms, I had the most fun with. I think that their engines and their bronze networks are like the most intricate and interesting. And I also think they have some of the best golds in like Visigoda. And I think that Henselt's really maybe underrated. I think he wins round one. Like if you want to do it, you do it. I think you create the two threats and you can win round one. And then there's got to be something you can build kind of around that, knowing that you have like this extra pressure. And Foltest is just awesome because he makes like Ockfist, Seltkirk. Even the prize-winning cow is awesome with Foltest. I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like 6 provisions slamming 10 points with the prize-winning cow. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you said like Northern Realm is the most fun faction for you. And you also said like when you see Woodland Spirit, you can encounter probably Big Boy's Woodland and you can see Control Woodland. And you see Ifni, you're pretty sure what's coming there. But with Northern Realms, every time I play against Northern Realms, I never know what's in there. It could be like this buffing Foltest. It could be some strange like Spectre thing. It's really crazy. Like Northern Realms, this surprise package. Like
it's true.
They have a lot of different mini archetypes within the faction, and there's not one that stands out so much higher than the rest. Like in Nilfgaard, it's like every Nilfgaard deck is playing that reveal package. Almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like even the Spies deck is playing the reveal package. So you kind of know which bronzes at least to expect from Nilfgaard. But like when it comes to Northern Realms, they could be playing artifact heavy Northern Realms. They could be playing Draug, Sabrina, like Foltest Pride meme finish, like all sorts of stuff that you don't really know what to expect. And I think that's one of the reasons why Northern Realms is a very fun faction to play right now.
I think Draug is legit, well, except for Witchers. Yeah, I mean, I think I just think that Draug is legit for Northern Realms, and that's like you can always expect Draug. Other than that, it can go either way. But what were you saying about the Witchers, Green Cricket?
Like I mean, we have to touch this topic, kind of, right? Like at least like a small bit. Like, what do you think about the Witchers? I mean, like they're currently in, I would say, like it's at least 80% decks, probably. Kind of.
I mean, it sure feels like. I mean, I'm always like playing around. Have they played their Witchers yet? And like that's really, it shouldn't be like that. But it's like every game, I'm like, okay, I have my Witchers in my hand. Have they played their Witchers yet? So I think that play rate has got to be an issue. I feel like the cards themselves I'm dealing with better, but I feel like most of that has to do with just running my own Witchers and just countering it, just like wiping, like making it a wash. So I just think the play rate is too high, and they're too good. I mean, you can play around them, but I feel if you don't have that big bomb of points, and you're on like the blue coin, let's say, it's very difficult to really fight for a round.
I mean, the most satisfying thing is when you're like playing Woodland Control or something, and they're on blue, they just play the Witcher, you see Roach popping up, and you're like, oh yeah, this epidemic. This will be juicy.
There's got to be ways to punish it, right? Like Igni is also really good punish with the Roach coming out. Like 50% chance you just wipe their entire board with the Igni. Epidemic, obviously really good. Even I've seen people playing Arrakis Venom with like Ethne or Croc.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys even know what Arrakis Venom does? Because I don't
you
see
always
it
have a chance to hit it, right? You're always gonna.
Yeah. With the ping from your hero, you set the middle one to 3, and then Aretuza Venom, what it does is it deals 3 damage, and if it kills the unit, it deals 3 damage to its adjacent units as well. So you just get this really cheap bronze that gets almost the same value as the Witchers. So I think people are starting to incorporate these little sort of techs against super common cards that they see.
But does that mean that you're not running Witchers?
I mean, then it becomes the mind game, right? Like if people start teching against Witchers, then you don't run Witchers anymore, and that might be the natural way of lowering their play rate.
But teching against them, it's weird because they do so much. Obviously, they do the thinning as well. So it's almost like the damage is kind of already done. Like you, even with the Aretuza Venom, it is very strong. And like there's Sabrina stuff, and I've been running Dragon's Dream here and there because I know I'm gonna like see at least that much. Like there's a lot of ways you can push it out, but it's still like you have to deal. It still like needs to be dealt with, and it still does so much work for every deck that runs it. And it's just not risky enough, even when it's countered. Like I've definitely Scorched and Epidemicked all 4 of them with Roach. And sometimes that just puts the game back at 0. It really depends on like who's acting next.
Yeah.
Like what round that happened in. It all comes down to just being, it's always been with Gwent who has the higher score or not. But even more so now, where I feel like a game can be about fighting for those last 3 points sometimes. It's really touchy. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just rambling again.
I think you're going to see like how they balance stuff out, and I think balance is actually a very interesting topic because with the provision system, they have like this new system to actually balance up cards. Because if the Witches have more provisions, maybe they see less play because they're like it's more effort to put in there. So McBeard, like with the new provision system, how do you build decks now? Like what has changed? Like what's your approach to deck building? Like, can you share maybe some tips or tricks like you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, the deck builder is just awesome. You have like the options are just there's just so much more there. You're not fighting for like a gold or a silver slot anymore. It's now like whatever you have room for. So even when you move a card out of a deck, sometimes that means that you'll move like 2 or 3 other cards because it allows you to kind of reformat the whole thing. So I really like that. I like going from game to game and switching those things around. But there's some things that I always look for. The first thing is it kind of like usually starts with an idea of something that might work. I'm like, okay, so what is like a core idea that might work? Like it's usually like an idea that I know can win me a round. So I'll take the idea and everything that I would feel like I would need. If it's really important, then it's to decree. And like let's use an example of something that I'm working on right now, and that's Monster Witchers. So the idea being, I need to get Vesemir Mentor so I can play Whispering Hillock on it, right? So I need to get those 2 cards. So I need to get Wispus to pull Whispering Hillock, and I need Royal Decree to make sure that I get Vesemir Mentor. Okay, so now I have all the Witchers, and then kind of it builds itself. Outside of that stuff, it's really, does this idea work for Skellige? Like if I want to work on Blue Boy Lugos, I'm like, okay, what's all the stuff that self-damages? And then I look, do I have at least 2 artifact removal? So usually a Frenzied Dow and a Bomb Heaver, or maybe 2, if I'm playing Scoia'tael that actually has the only decent faction artifact removal, I'll just play the Sappers. But something in there, or even D-Bomb if I feel like I need the room. And then I'll play usually Dimeridium Shackles all the time. 3 locks. I'll play like 3 locks because I usually don't hit all 3 of them, and I usually feel like it can change the course of pushing around 2 or winning around 1. But usually 2D Shackles or Aguara / Dorgray and 1 Shackle. And if I'm playing Nilfgaard, I'm just playing the Albas.
I mean, it's
I like locks, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but locks, not only locks, also the removal. I think like with Homecoming, control generally got like pumped up a bit. Like control in old Gwent was really depending on what you're facing, but currently control is kind of very viable in a lot of situations because locks kind of always hit at least the target which gets you some value. I mean, sure, like you're the analyst here. Like, what do you say about locks currently?
Yeah, I think they've definitely gotten better since Homecoming because it's very hard to come up with a deck right now with 0 orders or 0 engines in there. Like so many units have orders now that we saw in the last challenger. There's like the Triangle Greed with undisruptible decks as one pillar of that triangle, but it's much more difficult to bring an undisruptible strategy now. So I think locks are more valuable than before for sure.
it seems like the stuff that is quote unquote like undisruptable are currently a lot of things that like the idea that anything that can't be interacted with, and oftentimes, even though artifacts definitely can be, they tend to be like a big gripe right now as far as like being able to interact or not interact with something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
for
like they
sure.
also like I think Pavel Bursa just told right now, I think like 10 minutes before the show, said on Twitter that they're already like working on a hotfix where they're currently looking at artifacts, where they're currently looking at stuff. So I think artifacts, like that's personal opinion, I think artifacts are actually kind of fine in what they do. I think just like the interaction needs to be a bit different. I'm not too sure like what you need to change. I think I need to play like way more to like get really a grasp of it. But like the value you can get from a long round, and especially with the synergy that offer, like just look at Spear, like, you know, Spear can set up so many stuff. Alone the synergy is like already way more provision than the value the Spear gives you. So I think again, it's just really about like how do you interact with the card and how much provision does it cost versus what value does it give you.
Yeah, there's a few of those cards that are really sticking out right now as win conditions, right? Like in terms of getting the massive upside to its provisions cost, like you were mentioning, like Golden Froth, the Epidemic Scorch in conjunction with the artifacts. And you've seen these sort of win conditions all over the place at the top end of the ladder. It's I think it's really good that CDPR is moving quickly. And according to the tweet, it's super soon.
Yeah, really soon, right? So that makes me think like it's happening tomorrow, and I'm not playing Thronebreaker tomorrow is kind of what I'm thinking, but I don't know. I think
it's gonna be a good day.
Really soon is like, why would you say that if it wasn't like tomorrow or Wednesday?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Exactly. I feel like it's got to be the next.
I'm gut reacting to it.
Me too. I feel the exact same way. Like Mirza knows that he needs to be careful with expectations after the whole like Homecoming preview delay and stuff like that. So I don't think he would let out, say the word super soon if it wasn't the next day or two. So yeah, I'm excited to see the shakeup in the meta.
Since we've talked about like current mechanics, like Epidemic and artifacts and stuff, looking at the future, like McBeard, what would be the mechanics you would like to see in Gwen? Like thinking of maybe what you've seen in Thronebreaker, but also what you've seen maybe from other card games, you know, like Magic and Hearthstone.
I think that there's something in like there's a lot of unexplored territory in how weather and row effects are working right now. The only thing that's really like the more interesting weather is the like Ragnarok. First of all, it's it's permanent and it's a spell, and Dragon's Dream is an alchemy effect. So there's cool stuff you can do there. But I think that like with the fog and rain and frost, there's like nothing really there. And when you compare them to just the tuning of Spear, even compare those two things and how fog and frost are, they're 8 provision points each. So I think that there's unexplored territory and what the weather can do. Maybe the weather can do more. Maybe units that are under the weather or like have some sort of negative effects outside of just getting damaged. They could do stuff with that, or they could have shorter weathers that last for less time and units that benefit from weather triggers happening. That could be a whole new archetype. Like I was thinking about what Dagon's team might look like when they come back and however they come back. I like the idea of instead of Dagon being the leader, it's like the priests, and you have to summon a certain amount of priests to make Dagon rise from the deep, and they interact with weather and stuff like that.
The
weather triggers,
I think.
Yeah, it's something cool like that. I don't know. But I kind of just like the idea of weather doing, now that we've it looks like they played it very safe with weather. And I understand why, because weather's been so defining in so many metas. But they played it safe compared to the artifact where, just the value of +1 reach, like +1 damage to any damaging effect you have every single turn that you need it in Spear. Like people are saying, oh, it takes X amount of turns for it to reach its provision value. And it's not really like that at all. It's +1 reach is what you're paying for, and it's a premium, I think. So I think that weather definitely can come down a little bit, maybe. And I don't think they're going to do it soon. I think that that's probably more maybe even an expansion, because the stuff that isn't problems are probably like, whew, at least weather's not a problem. Yeah, now we can balance with other stuff. But I think weather's going to matter a lot more soon.
No, I would like to see that. I don't want it to get to the binary level that artifacts are at, but I would like to see some incremental increase or just like variety of how you can implement weather into your archetype. I also want to see armor coming back. I think that's definitely going to be a thing. We've already seen it in Thronebreaker, and Redania is likely going to come back as some part of a new faction or an expansion or something.
Be really shit. Wasn't right? Redanian armor, like it just all the armored units are gone. Armor is not in the game anymore. Armor's coded into Homecoming. I mean, come on, it's got to be.
And then I'd like to see some more movement stuff. Honestly, I feel like they could even let you move artifacts, as that could be a kind of non-binary way to tone down or let you interact with artifacts a little bit. Make artifacts have some sort of condition, whether they're on a row or next to a certain number of units or something like that. And you could even move the artifacts to kind of shut them down for a turn or two.
I really like that idea a lot. And I was thinking about how, you could make artifacts row dependent, or you definitely need to have some sort of support for the artifacts. But I had a good idea and I lost it, I'll be honest, and my dog's barking and distracting me.
Well, I know that
quickly
we also had talked about like maybe increasing the cooldown of having a unit that increases the cooldown of an artifact or something like that. That'd be pretty cool too.
I think Spear could probably be like, I wonder how it would feel if it was just 2 cooldown. We talked about this on the Commanders One podcast show.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been musing all these potential solutions to making artifacts more interesting. But I think that movement being more important is great, because what I was just remembering that I was going to say is sometimes it's really nice when like a Hawker Smuggler comes down on the board. It's nice to know that I can just move it to the back row and I don't have to use my removal or my lock, and I just devalued that card. And it was just another solution that I had that I may be building around anyway for my own reasons, to protect my own units from the same fate, or just because I'm running a row-based thing like Dragon's Dream, and I could always use the extra move, or I'm in Scoia'tael and the Giant Brigade's good and Kieran's good, etc., etc. So I think it's just good. I just agree. I agree with you about movement being more important.
Yeah, and also it increases player agency, right? Like just in your example right there, the Hawker's Smuggler comes down, you have a unit that can deal 4 damage. You have like a Gaunter that can just erase a unit, and you have a movement. Now you have the choice as a player, like, okay, which one of my mechanics do I use to answer this engine? Do I want to save one for something else maybe? And it just makes the game more interesting. I think that it's really cool that we have these sort of multiple different ways to answer the same question in the game.
Yeah, I think this is also what which will be very interesting in tournaments, when you have like all these multiple cards and you are going to like, oh, will this player play this, or will he play this, or will he risk or will he not risk? So I think these are the decisions we want to see in tournaments as well. About movement though, like, because what I was thinking of when you guys talked about movement in Thronebreaker, right in the beginning, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's like a card, I think it's called Light Infantry or something. It's the Wagen who can spawn like 2 little 2-point units, but they have an order, and it's like move to the other row. And this alone has a lot of synergy with the other cards. Like there's a card, every time like a unit appears on the row, gets a charge for or an armor, which you can use then like to damage an enemy. And like this is a mechanic which I think is really interesting, because this gives movement even more value than we already talked about. So personally, I also hope that we see more of this in the game, because 2 row also gave the rows more meaning, but like giving them even more meaning, I think I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thronebreaker, though, I know McBeard, you've been playing some Thronebreaker on stream. Without spoiling anything, can you tell us what do you like and dislike about the game?
Yeah, I'm only like just at the beginning of Act 2, so there's lots to be spoiled for me as well. So but first of all, what you were saying, the units that you were talking about, Green Cricket, the what is it, the War Wagon that makes the 2 dudes?
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be so sweet to have in the game, because you create these 2 little units that have a Death Wish on them, so like it's epidemic proof. It would be so good. Anyway, what I really like about the game is the story. Obviously, it's absolutely fantastic. The voice acting is superior to most games. And I think that it's just fantastic in the way they tell the story as well. And so far, like as you travel through the acts, and how the rising action and I'm not spoiling anything, but it's very interesting. And I think that the decision making is very cool as well. I feel like there are very important decisions to make, and I feel like I haven't even seen like the outcomes of a lot of the decisions I've made. And I love that you can get so many cool things in Gwent just by playing Thronebreaker. Like the first act gives you 3 borders, and I'm sure you've seen them in the game on the leaderboards. It's hard not to be spoiled, be border spoiled at least, because I've seen like at least like 10 I don't have yet. So I'm down. I love, and they're like some of the best borders. Like one of the first ones you find is the one that looks like Meave's armor, and it's so good. Yeah, but I mean,
those damn gold chests, like you always see them like looming somewhere, but like you can't go there. Like, how do you get there? Like,
yeah, exactly.
How do you get to this chest?
It's the loot tease. It's like, I gotta keep playing, gotta get that map. I can get there. I can get there in this playthrough. Yeah, but it's good. But I mean, it suffers from some of the stuff that people have been talking about. The difficulty is, you know, I've definitely made some blunders on stream. Like I have some brutal fails, but I feel like it was more my fault than it was actually the difficulty. Like the way that the game works is like I want to play it on low morale, and I'm playing it on hard mode as well, which doesn't seem to have too many differences, but at least all my units are weak. And I'm trying not to play like some of the really broken units, like the Lyrian Scytheman at 3 provisions that gets you like 15 plus points. Sometimes it's just really easy to just like all the battles, like all the actual battles in the game where you use your cards and it's a 3-round system like Gwent, they just feel like I'm fighting a boss in an RPG that I have to like knock down once and then knock down again. And there's never a threat of going to the 3rd round. But it's still fun in that usually when I'm playing an RPG and fighting a boss, I don't think I'm going to lose the fight unless it's like an extremely hard boss fight. I just know that it's going to take some time and I'm going to get through it and I'm going to move on to the next fight and I'm going to get through that. And not often do I fail at a boss. So thinking that way and thinking like it's more like an RPG where I'm just trying to like do damage, knock the boss out, and then knock it out again. That's how I've been able to make it a bit more fun and not try to tie it into, you know, I need to lose a round. The game needs to force me to lose the round. But again, only Act 2, like the beginning part. I don't know how much harder it gets. I don't know how sneaky the computer can get. So we'll see from there. But it's great so far.
Yeah, regarding the difficulty, they've also mentioned that they're looking to increase the on Bonebreaker in a future patch as well. So hopefully that'll help. I know that I've lost a battle before on stream as well in Thronebreaker. So it's definitely not so easy that you can't lose. But I think some of the standard battles you end up like wiping your opponent out by like 50 plus points.
Yeah, you get complacent though a little bit. It's just like, okay, I got it. And I definitely did the Manticore fight. I failed it twice, and the second time I failed it by 1 point.
Oh man.
I just didn't consider like one little thing that actually ended up being like some huge like 15 plus point swing, and I just got edged out. And I was right before the play, I'm just like, I'm so terrified of losing this fight again on stream, and I did. And it was
That's so interesting because you guys like you say like you failed for the Manticore, like Manticore was for me no problem at all. But so many people say Lippy like is such an easy fight, and I'm like I wiped like 5 times at Lippy. And the funny thing is, do you know how I won it? Because I had my units on low morale, and suddenly, like, its fight was way easier.
And people who've done the fight know what you mean. Yeah, you fight the biggest units, and they're on his side. So yeah, I mean, those are really interesting still. Though I still find them interesting. And Lippy actually had like, I had to think a little bit with Lippy, and I had to understand like what was going to happen in the fight. And as soon as he started hitting his own side, which is like inevitable in that fight, it's just like okay, and then I kind of know how to approach it. Yeah.
Still, like even though I knew like how I need to beat him, like I knew the mechanic, I was like, oh yeah, I get what I need to do. I still wiped like 3 or 4 times, and like I'm out to myself here. I'm sorry.
I'm scared anymore, but all this stuff was in the previews at least, like all like the Thronebreaker previews and stuff that I saw that was like live and stuff before the game came out. These are all the things that we're talking about. So hopefully nobody's mad.
Yeah.
Said little things.
By the way, like how many chapters actually does Homecoming, like Thronebreaker have? Like
5 maps, I think. It is. Maybe 6. I'm not sure. I'm only on Act 2 as well.
Yeah,
so I'm basically where
for all we know, like we maybe don't see a map if we go.
So free Thronebreaker noobs talking about Thronebreaker. I like it.
I'm looking forward to doing a spoiler cast with some people like later on once I finish the whole thing, and just like really digging into the story and just being able to spoil the crap out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. By the way, you said like you've played Thronebreaker on stream. Like after Homecoming like came out, how was the streaming experience? Like, did you notice like any differences? Like, how was the mood? Like, you know, like.
I mean, Homecoming, it was just like electrifying. Like when it first came out, like I mean, we had a little PTR, like a little bit. But when like the big sweeping changes when it came out with like all the leaders were there and we were seeing it all for the first time, that was still very fresh in my mind when we were actually able to play it live. So there was still so much still to explore. No one really knew anything. GwenTB wasn't working. No deck lists anywhere. You know, the devs are hanging out in our streaming channels. Like, you know, everybody's streaming. So like there's hosts coming in all over the place. You know, Super JJ's playing it. Life Coach is playing it. The buzz was awesome in that first week. And now that everything is like settled a little bit, I'm because I dug in. I was playing, you know, I wanted to make videos. I wanted to try all sorts of like crazy stuff. But then this weekend I played like serious rank because I wanted to play my 160 games, get it all finished up, get my MMR like unlocked. So like I played like much more seriously and less fun. So when it came to like experiencing some of the really rough stuff that's out there and seeing a lot of it, I feel like I've definitely taken my salt dosage over the last couple of days. So it's been up and down. Today, you know, it had a rough start. Seriously, the first 4 matches of the day today were Ethna, or 3 were like Ethna Artifact, and I was not on the red coin, and it was just I wasn't as electrified as I was. News of the hotfixing, you know, we know the potential of the game right now is like even our imaginations can't get there. Like what CD Projekt Red is planning at this point with this platform, like they've already thought in advance. Like there's so many things that could still be supported, and like, you know, we talked about spies or even like pirates and ships and stuff. Yeah. Lots of parts we haven't even seen, like the cultists and Redanians and all that stuff. Like there's still so much more coming in the game. I'm so pumped, but I'm really pumped for Ethna Artifact and
Froth.
Just a couple of tweaks. Yeah, Froth, of course. Just a couple of tweaks just to see if we can wake up some other beast before the December launch and maybe squash that too. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think like this, not even like we have the small fixes, but we already know that there's like a lot of stuff in the pipeline. For example, we know the whole Toussaint cards, like the whole vampire, like Vine update is going to come at some point. So this will also be very interesting. So yeah, I just want to agree. Like there's so much stuff coming, and I'm really interested, like to be part of this journey actually, to actually see what's coming and oh yeah, I mean like Shinmiri, like you stream as well. Like how was your last 2 weeks or something?
It was pretty fun. Like pretty much the first 2 weeks I spent just exploring all the different new cards and new deck archetypes, even if there weren't like top tier. I think early on, like everybody's exploring. There's obviously the one good thing about no GwenTV anymore is like it becomes harder to net deck, and the meta doesn't leans too heavily towards one specific deck that much. Like even though Artifact Control Ethne is like really, really strong right now, so is Froth. You actually, I think it's not that bad in terms of how many games you actually face against those sort of opponents. Depends on where you are, obviously, on the ladder. But in the first 2 weeks for me, I faced like so many different variety of decks, and we got to see a lot of cool things. So I've been having a lot of fun. I've also been trying out Arena a little bit, which has been a nice change of pace too from Constructed. If you ever get sick of, you know, queuing up into 4 Ethnes in a row and getting blue coin every time, maybe it's time to try Arena out.
There's a lot of achievements in there too. It's like they put a lot of achievements in Arena. So yeah, it's different. Arena is pretty interesting now that you get like more cross synergy from the different bronze units, because it just works out better than in Old Gwent. Whereas like the bronzes in Old Gwent were very, very specific synergy with other things in this faction, and now there's a lot more crossover between different factions. It's very rare that you're drawing like, you know, on like an old Blue Stripes commando that's just like worthless.
Yeah.
Like just you'd never pick it, but like you're so less likely to draft like something that you don't have, like you can't at least get like 4 points out of, I guess, if it's really on the rough side. But because there's so many soldier synergies and so many cross faction soldiers, cross faction warriors, cross faction beasts, cross faction I mean, there's like a bunch of like tribes and stuff that don't have any support knights and stuff, but
orders also something that could be
boost and damage. Like this is like
awesome in Arena.
Yeah, like boosted damage I think is like the most basic gameplay, and like supported by all the factions, and like some more, but some not. But like it's really I have not played Arena so far, but like I've already wanted to play like a cross faction boost deck or something. So that would be really interesting. Maybe we can like.
Yeah, you get to see interactions that you can't see in Constructed, and there's no tutors left either. Like imagine, you used to have these picks in Arena in old Gwent that was like Reaver Scout, Spear Maiden, dead other sort of tutors that are just you never consider because they're almost always dead. And
you have to commit
now
before you got
exactly. And now those aren't like polluting the card pool anymore, so you get more interesting draft choices as well.
Cool. I mean, also like
player.
No, God, what?
I was just gonna say I'm not a real Arena player, so I don't have too much more to add. But I just felt like that when I looked at the card pool, like overall, I saw there was a lot of potential for like synergy in Arena. So when I get to it, I'm sure it'll seem more cohesive, I guess, when I have a deck together.
Also, like we have some really cool Gwent-related content coming up. I mean, like we just saw today that like I think ESL announced the tournament series for Gwent. There's Gwent 3 season starting up on Sundays. The question is like, McBeard, are you participating in those tournaments and community tournaments? Like, what's your plan for the future?
I actually haven't heard of these tournaments, so no. But I would be interested. I mean, it's as a content creator, usually like I'm not traveling for a while because Gwent Open and Gwent Masters is on pause right now. So me personally, there's no travel plans like expected it for the next like little while. So that means that since I'm home for a long period of time, I've been focusing on getting videos up, streaming more. But that takes so much time, and competing actually takes a lot of time as well because practicing is really, really important. And like scrimming and like talking about that kind of stuff and like making time and like coordinating schedules. And you guys know, being part of a podcast, you already know there's already a lot of schedule coordination happening for us in the first place. So I would love to. I've competed before. I love being in tournaments. The only thing I don't like is how like it can just destroy your weekend, I guess, time wise. But the playing it and like the feeling of winning it, and especially like talking to people after you've done really well. And I haven't had that feeling in quite some time because I think the last time I won a tournament it was the end of 2016. So that was, I haven't actually like had that kind of like walking out of my room and like opening the curtains and everybody being like, oh, you did so good. Like that's like a feeling that I used to chase, and now I get like a different rush. Obviously, casting is like such a rush, but even you ask anybody who casts, like Mogwai and Panda, especially because they've both won tournaments as well, and Panda's currently like #1 on the pro ladder. He's like really played a lot of games, and played them well. So all of us would agree that competing is like it's like the one that got away kind of sometimes. Like it's you're very happy with your I'm trying to make this into like a relationship analogy, but like you look back and be like, what would my life be like if I was just like competing all the time and like whatever. Not saying that I would be the next Tailbot or anything. I'm just saying if I focused on that aspect and not casting, what would that be
for
like?
sure?
It's
sure. Yeah. Hey, it could still happen. Don't give up on your dreams, McBeard. Gwent Open number 8. It could happen.
More than playing. Sometimes.
Yes.
By the way, like for all the views here, like if you're interested like in tournaments and like generally Gwent news on the Team Aretuza Twitter channel, like we typically retweet stuff from other tournament organizers. So if you're interested like in signing up there, you can follow Team Aretuza on Twitter. And you get like always the newest like news about tournaments or about competitive stuff. So that may be interesting for you.
Yeah, we've got the Gwent League tournament or the Gwent League season is starting up. I think signups might have just ended, so it might be a little too late for that. But the ESL that was just announced today, that's going to be really cool. Still, we'll have to see what kind of prizes and other sort of details that they are still going to be releasing in the near future. And the upcoming Gwent event that we were mentioning before, Gwent Trivia season starts up on Sunday. This coming Sunday, yours truly will be on there. It's hosted by Team Rankstar with Flake and Markthius. It'll be me, I think Ash Lizzle, and Lord Bushwook on the first episode. So be sure to check that out as well. I think we have a nice trailer for you guys, right?
Yes.
To show as well. So if you guys want to think about your viewer questions, type them out now. Make sure to tag Team Aretuza so we can talk about them right after this video. Enjoy, guys.
This one as well.
I have a story, and it's called I Can't Draw Ships.
Oh my
wow. That is beautiful. Behold.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my. It says hi.
Make it up. Let's show it. Show them both. So who thinks that Thrilling's version of Camby is better? Why, applause.
Okay.
And who thinks that Devil Driven's is better?
Yeah, I tried to draw a ship, Karen. As I started to attempt to draw Karen through, I realized that I don't really remember how he looks too much, and I kind of gave up in the middle.
All right, let's
wow.
see it. See it.
That's not bad, actually.
Oh my god, it literally looks like someone who's showing his ID to go to the secret triangle club. There he is. Look at him, and he dressed for the occasion. He definitely got the memo that I didn't get, not knowing that this is formal.
I'm sorry, it's IHUARAQUAX.
Oh my god! On his first attempt, he gets it wrong. Unfortunately, that is incorrect.
As you can see, like he's obviously like the. It's great. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's like the highlight of the card.
At the moment where he took first place
oh my god!
Of Cowboy Division.
Right, so instead, he's throwing the human. He's had enough of this shit. And he was going, not like this!
When we were first introduced to Parasite, everybody's first thought was, nope.
IHUARRAQUAX.
The curse is broken, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we can retire this word. We can retire the word. Ihuaraquax has been absolutely just demolished by the confident McBeard, who takes.
Did I get it?
You did, absolutely.
Back. So let's look at those viewer questions. But I think you're currently a bit silent. So don't be shy. You can ask us anything. Well, not anything maybe, but like, keep it to a certain.
I can call it something that was said in the chat. This is actually kind of sort of a funny story in that I was talking about the rush of winning a tournament and how it's been a long time, but I actually won a Magic tournament like a couple months ago, and I forgot. So David Rodriguez Jr. in the channel just said you won a Magic tournament, reminding me that I actually have recently won something, and I just totally forgot because it's not the Gwent rush, right?
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic for a lot of players. like we're not mentioning like other games, kind of.
I'm talking about paper. I'm talking about the paper game. Not even.
Paper is totally fine.
I got all these. There's no digitals in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, actually, we got a question here, like from Moligian, and he asks, "Can you give us your thoughts on the current state of Epidemic and Scourge?" So.
Yeah. Okay. Epidemic and Scorch. They are pretty in the world that we're living in right now, with the spear being able to ping every turn, and Ethna having that customization that she has to the board right now. It is, but also the control meta, in that I feel like one of the bigger problems is that you can play no units. So anything your opponent plays, no matter how big or small it is, if you can line it up, Epidemic is as good as a Scourge, which means I think it should be gold in the first place.
Yes.
And I also think that, like I've been like, sometimes I switch between Epidemic and Glorious Hunt because I like them kind of equally, but Epidemic, it's undeniable what you can do with an Epidemic from a control standpoint. It's just, there's just too much in there. And I think that it's right now it's being amplified by the landscape of the meta and Spear and Ethna's power level right now. But maybe it just needs to, it needs to hit multiple things, right? Or else it's like, It's terrible, right? It needs to hit
otherwise it's like 4 provisions, like 8 provisions for 4 points.
Yeah, I feel like saying it needs a cap is band-aiding it. I don't feel like I want to say cap necessarily. I feel like the effect should be kind of true. Like we were talking about Lippy on the podcast, Shinmiri, when we talked last week, and it's how Lippy's effect is just such a true effect. And if it's too strong, it's too strong. But it is what it is, right? Swap your graveyard with your deck.
Yeah.
It's all there. Is that too strong or not? So I feel like that's why I don't like changing like
in my opinion, I don't think we should be capping stuff too much. Like, I don't like the idea of capping how much Epidemic can get, capping how much Golden Froth can get. I feel like those are really band-aid sort of fixes, and it's not interesting. Like, if you just make everything the same, like a 1-to-1 value for its provisions, nothing's going to be that interesting to play. Like, there should be stuff that breaks that provision to value ratio, but in an interesting way. My problem with Epidemic and Scorch right now is that because all the strength values have been lowered, it's really, really easy to line stuff up now. And not only that, combined with being able to use your leader and your orders abilities before you play that Epidemic or Scorch, that's the real killer. Yeah, you used to be able to react. If you know that your opponent is trying to line stuff up with Scorch, you used to be able to react and have the last say before they can play their Scorch to, block something, play something taller, buff something or hit something of your own. You don't have that ability anymore. And one of the ideas that I've seen floated out there, which I really like, is maybe give certain cards like Scorch and Epidemic a keyword that makes their effect only work if it's the first action you take in a turn.
Yeah, like initiative or something like that, right? Like something like, I mean, that is because now you're talking about like a fundamental. And the thing that I've been lauding so much about Homecoming is that fundamentally it has a lot of room to grow. It has a lot of room for balance. It has that extra stat in provisions. It has, the 2 rows now. It has ways of like changing modal things with movement. Like, there's so much there to twist and turn the knobs. But what you're talking about is like a fundamental thing with Gwent, in that you can take multiple actions, and you can take your actions with your orders cards and your leaders before you play a card or after you play a card. There's no order there. So if there was phases, then you would balance around that. But because there isn't, I mean, I don't know if it's as troubling as it may sound when I say something fundamental, because when we're talking about fundamental design space things, Gwent Vintage was very, very much painted into a corner, and this is very much not like that. But it is one of the only sort of new way we play the game things that has been, when you look at Shiro, like Shiro especially, right? I mean, he has Zeal. Why does he have Zeal? I don't think he needs it. I think Petrie's filter, if you knock out the Petrie's filter, you should be able to react to it. But like, why does he have Zeal?
If you want to blame somebody for the Zeal on Shiro, it's probably Pumpkin. I think he has even claimed that he was the one who got them to give Zeal to Shiro, because he didn't have it in the PTR.
It's like almost I look at that card with Zeal, like a lot of Northern Realms card got Zeal too after the PTR, because like a lot of people said there's a lot of slowness. Like Northern Realms needs like stuff that they can do, more deploy effects, more things right away. And like Aretuza Adept got it, and cards like Temerian Drummer Change and stuff, and like that was good stuff. But Shiro is like the last card I would want to give Zeal to. That's like so rough.
There's actually like adding on this discussion, because there was another viewer, Crow's Eye, hey there. He asked, or he said, what about adding tags to certain cards that make them unable to be played if you also play orders that turn, or unable to use further orders? Like, what do you think of this, like preventing orders or not being able to use a card after you played an order?
That's very similar to what we were just talking about, I think. And I think it's a good idea for certain cards. I wouldn't want them to be like, I wouldn't want it to make a general change where you can only play cards first and then only play orders after. I think that's too limiting, and I really like being able to decide which order of stuff to play in, but it might be a little bit too powerful for just those Scorch-like effects. So I think they should look at it as more of a case-by-case basis than a general sweeping change.
I mean, the first time I saw the Doomed tag, way back, closed beta, like way back, I saw the Doomed tag, and we all know what Doomed means. It doesn't go to the graveyard, it's banished. So when I first saw that, I thought, I don't know about this. I feel like it's just kind of sort of solving the problem. But now Doomed is like very important, I think. And it's not used a lot right now in Homecoming, but it has been used. as like a solution for stuff that, you know, can't be rezzed or shouldn't be replayed. But Gwent actually has a lot of flexibility. Like you look at Necromancy as a neutral card, res any bronze unit, right? Freya, res any bronze unit. You know, like Han Marvin's Blue Dream and Renew is res any card at all from your opponent's graveyard or your graveyard. It's not limited by gold or bronzes. Like there's so many, like there's less brick things that happen. So I think that I may have also lost my thought once again.
Well, yeah, but I get what you're saying. Like Gwent has like way less restrictions than like vanilla Gwent, if that's what we call it right now.
Right. So less restrictions. Oh, we were talking about the idea of a card that needs to be played first. Anyway, I think that adding that tag to a card, I'm agreeing with you, Shinmiri, but it was just adding my piece, my ramble. I think that that's something they could explore. With Scorch and Epidemic, probably big offenders like the ones that benefit the most from a constructed board. So, or I don't know, maybe it's the leaders that are the issue. Maybe the artifacts are okay, but the leaders need to happen after. I don't know. There might be a way to do it.
We'll see soon. We'll see if the patch comes the next day. So
super soon.
Yeah, super soon. But like talking about restrictions, it's already been 1 hour, so I think we kind of need to wrap it up here. Big thanks to McBeard for joining us on this episode 8 of the talk show, first one after homecoming. Maybe McBeard, you want to like tell our viewers like where they can find you, like when you stream, for example?
First of all, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Always like working with you guys and gals. And you can find me on twitch.tv/McBearded. I am streaming. This is a rough week. I do 10 a.m. starts weekdays, Monday to Thursday at least, and then Friday we do Fight Night where I take on.
That's Eastern time, right?
Eastern time, yeah, which we just went through our daylight savings. The time is currently 5 o'clock, so Eastern time, and the last Fight Night. So on Friday, you can come into my chat and you can actually duel me, and that's why I have no beard, because my beard was on the line for the last Fight Night, which was on Friday. I do fun stuff like this all the time. Playing Thronebreaker on Tuesdays and Thursdays until I beat it, and I'm playing. You know, I do Gwent on Mondays and Wednesdays. I do the Commander's Horn podcast as well, which you can find at commandershorn.com. Find us on Twitter as well at Commander's Horn. It is much like this, a very good Gwent talk show, and I think that you know we're very, very close to 100 episodes right now. Shinmiri was my guest just on the last one.
It was a blast.
And Mark Theus is my guest this week for number 98, and
nice.
I'm already working on episode 100. So yeah, McBearded on Twitch, McBeardCH on Twitter, Commander's Horn is the podcast, and thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. And we also need to give a big shout out to the man behind the curtain, which is Marfius. Marfius manages all the production here. He's also like involved in other projects like Ventura. But what I'm talking like Marfius, like do it yourself. He's here. He can hear you.
Give a shout out to Mark Theus.
Exactly.
Huge props to him for managing and everything behind the scenes. And also juggling a bunch of different projects at the same time. Like he's involved in the Gwent trivia coming up as well. It's going to be on McBeard's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great work ethic. I really admire him.
And he did the PTR, the Aretuza Invitational show matches that we we scared all the developers with because they thought that we were streaming.
That's right. I remember that
somehow or whatever. But
okay,
it was still a fun time, and he did that project as well.
So big thanks to you guys. And I would say, well, see you in 2 weeks when we actually interview a dev, like a CDPR dev, about their perspective of Homecoming and what's there to come. So thank you all, guys, and good night.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.